Hello and welcome once again to the Automobilista Australia Super 2 Championship this week from Calder Park Raceway. Tonight, a little bit of a mix-up in the, or change-up I should say, from the usual commentary crew. Tonight it's just myself and Will Devonish. Will, how's it going, mate?
Yeah, alright, how are you?
Not too bad. Glad to be moved in, and now I'm just hoping that when I do get disconnected from my current ISP, it doesn't happen in the middle of this stream. So hopefully it lasts another couple hours and it gets sorted afterwards.
We are keeping everything crossed.
Certainly are. Well, I've had a few practice sessions during the week, and once again had a practice session just then. It's ticked over to qualifying, but no drivers waiting just yet. Will, what's your take on what you've seen so far in practice, and of course of the Calder Park Raceway circuit?
Well, I've been watching some of the guys over the last few weeks, and they've put in quite a lot of effort to the point where they're faster than the main series guys last year. So really impressed with that. Especially at the lights of like Scott Sandcliffe and Steve Brko. They've put in monumental effort to get to the speed they're at now, and admittedly it was quite scary being on the server with them the other day. I couldn't keep up with them.
Yeah, certainly very, very quick out there. Speaking of Scott Sandcliffe, he's the first man out onto the circuit to set a lap. Obviously, circuit is very, very short here, Will. 2.2 Ks, or almost 2.3 Ks. And with an open qualifying session, it's, well, space is going to be paramount out here.
Yeah, it's quite interesting at the start of this season. It's been a whole lot of short circuits, and with 23 cars on the circuit, there's not going to be a lot of room to get your qualifying lap in.
Certainly isn't. Normally, we do see a number of drivers leaving the pits very, very early on in qualifying. So far, Scott behind him, a lot of space behind him, but I'm sure we'll see drivers leave the pits. Drivers do have 15 minutes. As you see, Scott just flicking his lights on as he goes through turns, I think that's 6 and 7, through 8, and then the final corner here at number 9. On Wikipedia, that last little kink there does count as a corner, but I personally don't, because it's flat out in any car you drive.
Yeah, and it's very difficult corner to get right. The back end just wants to keep coming out on you.
Yeah, you got to sort of almost drive it like a dirt car through there, just slide it on the exit and try and get away. Anyway, Sandcliffe has started his lap, lights ablaze, a little bit wide on the exit, kicks it up a little bit of grass. You do want to attack the curbs here, but drivers have been told not to attack them too much because we don't want them exploiting the track limits, since this time last year there was some tyre bundles in the way, and the way Scott took that corner, that chicane there, he probably would have ended up on the moon this time last year.
Oh yeah, and he wouldn't have had, his engine would have been on Mars.
Yeah.
Track lap for the race.
Yeah, thankfully we've got rid of those solid tyre bundles. I do wish Automobilista, and a lot of other sims in fact, did have proper sort of tyre bundles where they didn't just completely destroy your car. Anyway, he's about to cross the start-finish line. 57.5, not a terrible lap, but certainly would have wanted a 56. That said, Will, the first lap around here, with tyres not quite up to optimum tyre pressure, we're probably not going to see the fastest times out here in qualifying.
Yeah, I think he was a bit conservative there. He was just getting a banker in, and I think he's done really well with that. Line Mitch has now gone to a 56.8, which is a spectacular time. That was the qualifying time for the supercars last year.
And qualifying in supercars last year was a similar format. You got two time laps, I believe, very similar to actually NASCAR's sort of formula. There, so yeah, watch Bolger fight on the exit of the final corner, and I see Termo also setting. Looks like that's a 57.2 or so. 59.5 for Bolger, not ideal for him. And
Bolger had a bit of an issue on that lap.
And Noah Taro goes P4 in the Pepsi Max car. Also got Steve Brko leaving the pits. He's certainly going to be one to look out for.
Oh yeah, and I think Rhodey's just about to finish his lap.
We'll try and find him. He's coming. That's just over the second split line there, just before the final corner. 1.4 seconds down. Nice and smooth on the exit. The final turn now, the run to the line.
Also mentioned that Deutt just came 5th with a 58.4. Rody with a 58.5, which is actually a very good effort for him. I'm very impressed.
Yeah, by the lap times by a lot of the drivers have done, it's actually pretty close around here. You did see it very similar at I think it's Simmons Plains as well is very very close, but this track in particular a lot closer than what we've seen, and it's good to see the likes of Rody and Glenn Miles and Brian Walsh all up there and not too far away. So if there is some mistakes from guys in front of them, they could find themselves with a really really good result at the end of one of these races.
Yeah, and in qualifying we saw the top 20 were covered by 2 seconds, and that's very tight.
It certainly is. As I got Aiden out there at the moment, just looking for anyone else on a lap time. I haven't got live races available. We do have Brko on the circuit, so we'll jump to him. He's just coming out of the turns 2 and 3. Less than a tenth away from Lion Mitch. Nice and smooth through turns 4 and 5. Now 5 and 6. Oh, sorry, 6 and 7. You want to use that curb a little bit just to pull the car around, but he has been nice through there. Gaps remained about the same. And it's all going to be about the run to the line. Not quite close enough to pick up a slipstream off the Nissan down the road, but he has been quite good in practice out of the final corner.
Oh, he's just missed out. And he's kept that gap all the way around.
Yeah.
It was that first sector he lost it on.
Now, it was 0.05, I believe, in the first split. It did go out to, I think, 0.092, and then he's brought it back just a little bit. Not quite enough, but at the moment, once again, HRT locking out the front row, and I did see someone driving full speed in the pits there. It's not like what we like to see in, at least not in qualifying sessions anyway.
Noah Tara's gone to 5th.
He set that early on. Cracking out P6 for him. Not too bad, 58.1. Also got Darren Kemp out there, one of the newcomers in the Xbox car. In fact, we're right on board with him and see how he's attacking the circuit. A bit conservative through 2 and 3. But yeah, this is his first time out here. And it's just looking just to keep it nice and clean out there.
Darren's already set a time, actually.
Indeed he has. Hopefully he goes back to the pits. Yes, and he does. So
we've got NZ Snipes on a lap.
Also got Brian Walsh and Nether leaving the pits as we jump to NZ Snipes. Had a pretty solid round at Barbagallo last time out. He'll be hoping to repeat that. Only 0.6 down at the second split. If he maintains that gap, that'll put him in that sort of 4th, 5th area with Stancliffe and Tara.
The third sector here is a really weird one. It's basically just a corner and a straight.
It's still very vital though. You do want to get that good exit and that good run through the corner, because you can miss the apex, and if you miss the apex a little bit, can't get the nose in, it really does compromise your exit and your run down to turn 1, which can obviously help you take a position or defend it.
Yeah. Another one of the fast guys, Wayne, is about to finish his lap. He's 2 tenths down at the moment.
And he's come out to the second split very, very sideways. And 6 tenths down in the middle sector, attacking the final corner.
These HRT boys in the second sector have been spectacular.
And that'll all be under braking, I'd say, and through that 7 and 8, or 6 and 7.
Wayne goes to 6th.
And I got Brian Walsh 6 tenths down at the first split. Also got Nether just starting his lap. But I was thinking, Brian Walsh there attacking that chicane, and if he had done that last year, he would have probably just stopped dead. He would have hit the middle of the tyre bundle there.
Oh yeah.
But drivers will be warned that they do that a lot in the race, and they will be penalised post-race.
He's had some understeer the last 2 corners, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think he just outbroke himself there at the final corner. Still could make up a couple spots here. And he does, goes P13. It's in front of Bolger, Aiden and Glenn Miles. So he'll be happy to be in front of his mate there in Glenn Miles. Also ahead of Bolger and Aiden.
Okay, we've got Nether crossing the line.
Yeah, he's coming out of the final corner. What can he manage? Haven't seen his lap. 57.6 puts him P7.
Not bad. Now this is interesting. We've got 4th down to 7th, separated by 1/10.
And then you got Snipes 3/10 away as well. That Termo jump up into P3 as well. So Termo's done a solid job. He's about a half a second away from the front two. But pretty much from him, who's a 10th in front of Scott Stancliffe, all the way down. Oh, and we've even got Paul Morris in there. He's jumped up into P4. So that little mid-pack there, very, very close. And I think we'll see a very tasty battle, particularly in race 1.
Another one of the fast guys, Liam Spencer's on a lap. He's gone wide on the exits of 1 and 3, and he's flown over the curb in the chicane there as well. So he's really pushing it.
He wasn't far away. He's only half a tenth down in that first bit. He's used the curb nicely there at turn number 6, through number 7 nicely. 3.5 tenths down, so he would have lost that time, as you said, at the exit of turn 3. But for the rest of the lap, it's been quite good. Decent run through the final sector, which is just that one corner, and the run to the line, and he'll go P3. And solid lap there from Liam, who, has to be said, is annoyed his dad by moving ahead of him in the championship standings after the last round.
And qualified better than his dad, so again, bragging rights in the house there.
Yeah,
Got
Wayne.
Cheese on a lap.
Yeah, he's just started going through the first chicane. 9 tenths down in the first sector. Another one making his debut this weekend. And nice little line there through turn number 6. A little bit of understeer. 1.6 down the second split. He's actually taken that final corner nicely. He has run a little bit wide, but was able to carry a little bit of speed through there. Might see him probably around the Kemp roadie range. And there he is, just in front of Kemp. And he goes P15 in the Norton Hornets Nissan.
We've got Wayne about to cross the line on his hot lap, so...
Well, it's actually his out lap. He hasn't got a time next to his name, so we'll stick with him for this one. And we're right on board. And see how he attacks this Calder Park Raceway. The Thunderdome to the left there. Up the embankment where Lowndesy needed a hand to get out of his Commodore many years ago. And very wide through the mid-corner. Wasn't able to get the nose in. That's going to cost him a bit of time.
Yeah.
He's again wide. Just hasn't been able to pull it up. And looks like he's going to abort it. It's not a good idea because you probably do want to continue a lap even with those mistakes.
Yeah, I think you'd be at least be able to get above Glenn Miles with those mistakes. So, one spot.
Ooh, and we've had Cecil. He started his lap and he was less than a tenth away, but he didn't have an ideal run. It sounded like he lifted through the second chicane there, but still, it's a good start to his lap. A little bit of understeer though through turn 6 and 7. 7 tenths down, but if he's able to maintain around about that range, we might see... Oh, no, he's not going to do that. He's a little bit too enthusiastic at the final corner there. He's run wide. He's going to continue on. It'll probably be around Rudy and Cheese, I'd say. And there it is. Splits the two of them. Still good enough for 14th, but he could have been... I definitely think he would have been probably around about where Cracker and Snipes were.
Definitely a mover and shaker in the race there.
Yeah, got a couple. Obviously, Whitmore I expect to also move up as well. Got a minute and 41 left in qualifying, and I think John McDonald's the only one that hasn't set a lap. And being the smart one, you can get around the circuit in a minute, and he's going to have the track all to himself here.
And the most rubbered up as well.
It's not a razor standard circuit, this one, so I'm not exactly sure with circuits like these if the rubber actually does anything. Obviously with the razor circuits and the one done by Patrick and the like, it does, but I don't know if it makes too much of a difference on these ones. But if it does, he's certainly giving himself every opportunity to move up the grid.
Now Lewis, I'm going to be interested in turn 1 this race. heavy braking zone under cold tyres. What do you think's going to happen?
I think it's going to be absolute carnage. I will have a chat I'll have a short chat in the drivers' briefing about it, but certainly it's going to be a hectic run. I did have a couple practice runs last night with the guys in a practice server, and it was chaotic to say the least. Anyway, got McDonald about to start his lap. He deliberately went a bit wide to get a nice exit and nice speed down the pit straight and drag strip here at Calder Park, and now into turn 1. As you can hear, just slamming down the gears. A little bit wide on the exit. Wasn't able to get the nose in as ideally as what you'd like. Now through turn 2 and 3. Again, a little bit wide through 2, which compromised turn 3. And that's why he's 4.5 tenths down. But now you want to get this next major braking zone right. It's very easy to outbrake yourself by a metre or two. You do want to use that curb, which he isn't able to quite do, and that means he runs a little bit wider. Compromises the line through turn 7, and 1.1 down.
That second or third chicane, the curbs are really important to pivot the car around. Otherwise, you wash all your speed off getting the car around the corners.
To the line, not a too bad a lap in the end. Aside from that first sector that he probably could have been a little bit faster than. Not too bad in the middle sector, and again, not too bad in the final sector either. Obviously not too happy throwing it into the wall. That lap being good enough for 12th, but if you put it all together, I think he probably would have been right behind Snipes in the end there.
Yeah, 100%.
Alrighty, well, that's qualifying. Done and dusted for the Automobilist Australia Super 2 Series. We'll take a short break, but we'll be back shortly. We'll go over the championship standings as well as race 1 of 3 tonight from Calder Park Raceway. Don't go anywhere. Alrighty, and welcome back. To apologise once again for the long driver's briefing, but around this circuit there are a couple places, Will, where some incidents can take place, and since there's no tyre bundles anywhere, we don't want people cutting the track either.
Yes, and we've known from previous events that the guys need to be reminded a few times, so probably best to reinforce everything.
Yeah, certainly got to be a bit of a woodpecker on the old scalps of a few people, just to remind them, hey, don't do this. Or, please, drive like this instead of this. Anyway, as you can see on your screens, round 6, Calder Park Raceway out in Keilor in Victoria. 2.28 kilometres, 9 corners. 10 corners according to Wikipedia, but Wikipedia, as we know, is not the most reliable source. 3 races this evening, and 18 laps, which is it's going to go by fairly quickly, Will, but at the same time, it's going to be a fairly long time on that rear left tyre.
Yeah, I think right now it seems short, but once you get to lap 12, the guys are going to think it's agony on those tyres, and without a compulsory pit stop, it's going to be a long night for them.
It certainly is. And as you can see on the screen there's Nether just about to practice start. And I reckon starts here, Will, are going to be vital, because even though there are places to pass around here, you don't want to get caught behind slower drivers around this track, because you're not going to get the time up, just like at Simmons Plains. Being a short circuit, there's no real places where you can make up massive chunks of time.
True. Fortunately, there's more than one overtaking spot compared to Simmons. But yes, that start's definitely going to be important, especially how long the run is. It gives the guys enough time to split out, where other tracks you'd be bunched up straight away. So if you've got a bad start, it wouldn't be too bad.
Certainly, but turn 1, as we did touch on it in the briefing, but it is certainly going to be very, very interesting, and hopefully we get through there unscathed. Alright, well, as you can see on your screen now, the drivers' standings. Wasn't able to go and set the team standings because didn't quite have enough time, and my maths isn't the greatest, and I'd rather just get all the other graphics done correctly. But as you can see, Steve Brko still leads the championship on 1,692 points, and he's just about a win ahead of Lime Mitch in second. Nether has had a couple poor rounds, but he'll be hoping for a solid run this evening to try and move closer to the front two and stretch away from Termo and Bulger in 4th and 5th. But Termo, he put in a decent lap in qualifying, and could be a little bit of a dark horse, Will, if some things fall in place for him.
Yeah, the likes of Termo and Nether, they just need to keep their nose clean during the race, and I think it will just come to them. A lot of the guys here are young. Races, they might be able to put a qualifying lap together, but races are a completely different story. So the more experienced guys in Nether and Turbo might benefit from that.
Certainly. And then we have BDFs, or tonight, who is known as Paul Morris. They're in 6th place on 1,002 points. Liam Spencer ahead of his father on 948 there. If I'm reading that correctly, it's very, very small. Yeah, 948 plays 894, with Rhodey still in the top 10, doing a good job. 759 with Brian Walsh on 603, so they're doing a good job sticking in the top 10 with the whole plethora of new drivers that have jumped in the last few rounds.
Yeah, it just shows that, well, you know, as long as you finish the races, you're going to be in that top 10-ish position in the championship, so it's really important to, even if you've had a bad race, keep going. Don't DNF it. Just keep going, and you'll get bank those points.
Yeah, well, pretty much if you finish, you're probably going to be in the top 20, and that's pretty much of it. I think that's about 40 or 30 or 40 points at least guaranteed if you finish. So you keep that going, and obviously you have some races where some people DNF, and you might pick up 100 or 70 or 80 points, and you do that over the course of the season, and yeah, you find yourself still sitting in the top 10, which is what those guys are doing, and they're doing a good job. And as you see, just over the page now, Matt Webb not here this evening on 513, sitting in 11th, with Cracker and Matt Cecil equal on 510 points. NZ Snipes had a good round at Barbagallo, sits on 5.01. John McDonald, another one that had a good round, and he's still kicking himself that he couldn't, he said in his own words, threw away a win at Barbagallo last round. Glenn Miles on 4.71. Stancliffe, a man to look out for this evening, on 4.53. Caelan Duncan on 3.21. Mike Coulston 2.85 with Whitmore on 2.79.
Yeah, if Wayne has a good night tonight, at least finishes top 15, he's going to be able to get up a few spots in the championship. The others not rocking up tonight.
Yeah, well, he does need to put it all together. He has had a bit of bad luck throughout the course of the season. And, didn't quite go his way in qualifying either. So you're having a little run in through the turn 2 and 3 section. That's having a look at Daniel Cox through there at the moment. But starting all the way back may not be a curse, because if lap 1 turn 1 goes a bit awry, being so far back, he might be able to avoid it and pick up the pieces and find himself up a number of spots.
Yeah, just need to keep your head above water with this first lap. A lot of the guys might be a bit greedy. Turn 1 going, it's quite easy to go wide on the cold tyres as well, so as long as you keep your head above water and make sure you make the apex, I think you definitely can make a few spots.
Certainly. Well, the server has just ticked over, and we're moments away now for race 1 of 3 here from Calder Park Raceway. Bit of a shame in real life, Will, that it's fallen into such disrepair, because a circuit like this probably needs to come back onto the calendar just to mix up some racing. And with the prominence of night racing around the world, obviously this is one of the first circuits, particularly in Australia, but also in the world, that sort of had some night racing. Obviously in the mid to late 90s, running some night races.
Yes, definitely. And you never know with the rumours of Sandown shutting down. Yeah, we could potentially even see this lovely track rejuvenated again.
It's, Melbourne certainly needs a circuit, and hopefully the demise of Sandown isn't for a long time, but it does seem inevitable, with the lease I think running out in, was it 2022 or 3 or something like that. Anyway, Lime Mitch has got the formation lap underway. And Will, why don't you run us through the grid here for race 1 of 3?
Yep, quick lap. I'll run through this quickly. We've got Lime Mitch, P1, done a lot of practice over the last 2 weeks. Same with his teammate, Steve Brko, running second. Liam Spencer, great qualifying effort, a lot of effort put in and to get third. Daniel Cox has already been disqualified, not sure why. Termo, great starting position on 4th. Paul Morris, 5th. Highest position I think Paul Morris has ever qualified in real life and in sim racing. Scott Sandcliffe's in 6th. Great effort from Scott. I think that's his highest qualifying effort, correct me if I'm wrong. Noah Tara in 7th. Wayne in 8th, not beating his son. Nether in 9th. Qualifying top 10, great effort. NZ Snipes 10th, Cracker in 11th. Daniel has been disqualified, so he's back in the pits. Doit in 13th. Brody 14th, high position for Brody, expecting good things out of him. Matt Cecil in 15th. Cheese in 16th. Darren Kemp in 17th. Ryan Walsh 18th in the ice break. The Falcon. Steve Bolger in 19th, a lot further back than we normally see Steve, especially after his GT3 win. Second place this week. Aiden in 20th, Glenn Miles in 21st, and Wayne Whitmore pulling up the rear in 20th, 22nd.
Yeah, certainly a number of runners a little bit further back than what we'd expect.
You got Paul Morris on an angle here. He's very attacking.
Yeah, looking to split the middle. And what I guess what the disqualification was for, he'd missed the start and he'd then left the pits I'm guessing is what had happened, and that's why he got DQ'd. If you cannot leave the pits if you are starting from the pits before the lights come on, and obviously this track doesn't have lights, but anyway, the lights are on here. Away we go.
With a lot of wheel spin there, but great start.
Poor start from Brko. He's been swarmed. It's about 5 wide in the middle there. Both the Red Bull Holden Racing Team cars look like they've got away. They're 4 wide. The track does squeeze a little bit, and hopefully we can get through turn 1, but Lime Mitch holds on for now. The 2 Red Bull cars are up there in 2nd and 3rd, and we have made it through turn 1 without anyone being turned. It is a Christmas miracle out there. They have made it through.
Scott has done an excellent effort, already up 3 spots.
He certainly has, and Paul Morris, all kinds of sideways there. Brko's had a bit of a mare. I've had Nether actually move up a couple spots. Turmo's had an absolute shocker. He started 4th. He's down in 8th at the moment. But at the moment, Liam trying to put Lime Mitch under a bit of pressure.
Wayne's also moved up.
Oh, we got Paul Morris trying to make a move at Scott Stancliffe at the final corner. They're going to go side by side down the straight. And
it's a drag race.
Is a drag race down at the drag strip. But Paul Morris will pull ahead and into 3rd. So he's also had a start, but he's got the move done so early that he's actually going to give Scott a bit of a slipstream.
Who's first under brakes? Scott's gone a little deep and shut the door. Great move. Yeah,
good racing between those guys. It's
Looks like Brko's settled down a bit here and now eyeing up Morris.
Yeah, Morris all over the curb there, and that unsettled him a little bit and cost him time, so he's now looking more in his mirrors in the car in front. It's in Stancliffe using a lot of that grass there through that chicane, as you see the field now go through that second chicane.
I must say it's spread out quite nicely. Everyone's got their own space at the moment.
Doesn't look like we've had too many, or if any, major incidents, but Stancliffe looking like he's going to be a little bit of a cork in the bottle here. He's got Paul Morris right behind him, Steve Brko right behind Morris, and Wayne not too far away as well. And with the slipstream of that VF Commodore, I think we'll see Paul Morris probably pull out of it and try and make a move into turn 1. He's having a look. He's deep under brakes. Can he pull it up? Oh, it's only just the width of a Commodore, and Morris takes it, and he gets that position. He's run a little bit wide through 2 and 3. This is going to invite Brko to make a move, but he can't make that position up through the fast chicane. But Morris now has broken into 3rd, and now Stancliffe have to look in his mirrors as he's got a hard-charging Brko right behind him. Well, we've got Stancliffe, late move. He gets it done just. So,
he's gone wide though.
It's gone across the grass, and it might cost him 2 positions because it's going to compromise his run through the final corner, and Brko sees it up the inside. And you're going to want to stick in Paul Morris' slipstream here, and that is exactly what Brko does, but costly error from Stancliffe after a fantastic re-overtake.
Wayne's just sitting back here, just seeing what's going to happen.
He's sort of picking and choosing where he picks up a toe from. That is a big incident, and Brko on 2 wheels, and that is not good driving. That's one late braking manoeuvre too many from Stancliffe there, and we'll just cut to a replay of that. You see Brko is there in the middle of the road.
Brko's not moving, he's moving, he's waited for all the traffic to go by. It's really polite racing there. I don't think I would have been even that polite.
It's certainly not good for his championship hopes, that's for sure, sending him all the way down to 18th place.
Especially with 4 laps down, the field is spread out, so the recovery drive is going to be a lot of effort for him unless there's a safety car.
It certainly is, and seeing in chat there that NZ Snipes' his game stopped, so a bit of a shame.
We've been seeing this a bit with AMS lately, unfortunately.
Also seeing the stream sort of cutting out a little bit at the moment. I do apologise, I'm not exactly sure what the internet and upload speed is like here. It's the first time streaming here this evening, so I do apologise. At the front though, Liam Spencer hasn't let Lime Mitch get too far away, only half a second separating them, but it looks like Lime Mitch has put together a good first sector here, and looking just to edge away at the moment. They've got 2.5 seconds, I should say, over Paul Morris in 3rd.
Yeah, they're really sprinting away from Paul Morris. I think they've both got their head down
They're both driving very, very well. And Paul Morris stretching away from Wayne.
Wayne's had a great race. Up 4 spots already. As Mitch gets the fastest lap of a race, 56.9, only 3/10 away from... No, that was 1/10 away from his qualifying lap record.
I do expect as he runs wide and exit to turn 1 there, I do expect the fastest lap of the race to probably be faster than what we see in qualifying. If it doesn't happen in this race, I'm certain it will happen in one of the other 2 races coming up after this one.
I think it'll be around this time, so your tyres are nice and warm, the fuel's come down a bit in the car, but so it'll be around lap 6 to 10 mark, but after that I think the tyres are going to be change.
Yeah, 6 to 10. Yeah, it's about right. Your tyres by then are up to about that optimal pressure range. Temperature's not too much of an issue outside the rear tyres and the rear left. You don't want to overcook that one. But pressures, once they do come up to pressure and the fuel starts coming out of the car a little bit, that 6 to 10 lap range is when we'll probably see these faster laps come into play.
We're seeing a few little mistakes coming in with Scott. He's falling back into the clutches and nether. So I think he just needs to concentrate a bit in racing. He was fast in qualifying, but just needs to put his head down and bum up and focus on the race now.
The gaps sort of about remained the same since the Turn 1 incident a couple laps ago. So Nether not letting him get away. Nether avoiding all the contact. Had a decent start. He's up 3 spots. And just looking a little bit further back, looks like Brko may have had another issue there because he was up to 14th for a moment. So I'll just cut to a replay. So he's getting past Aaron Kemp in the Xbox FGX Falcon. And I'm guessing he's outbroke himself into turn 1. No, he's pulled a gear too many. It's done a little Tokyo drift there and overcorrected it and lost positions to Cracker and Kemp again. So undoing all his hard work there.
Turbo seems to have an average start of this race. He's down 3 spots already. But his lap times are half decent, so he's really mid-57s.
Yeah, he'll be certainly ruining that poor start and run that he had. Particularly the start. It wasn't so much his run through turn 1, but he had a really poor start. Lost 2 or 3 positions by turn 1. And I did say the starts were going to be crucial here, and it's proving it now, because he's probably a hair faster maybe than Nether. He's certainly very, very consistent, but he's not going to get that time lost now. Being stuck behind Nether and now Stancliffe as well.
Going a bit further up the field, Doit and Noah Taro having a nice little ding-dong battle. Noah...
A little bit wide at that final corner.
Oddly enough, Noah seems to be doing the correct lines, just not being able to gas it up as early as Doit is.
Yeah, just not quite as confident. Perhaps not running traction control, which is why he's not as confident. Doit in his first race here in Super 2, looking to make the move into turn 1. A little bit sideways and skatey. He does pull it up.
Noah's given in the room. Great race.
Yeah, good driving from both of those guys. And in the end, Doit pulling out of the move into turn 2. Figuring it'd be a bit risky. And does the smart thing. Backs out of it. Lives to fight another day.
Lewis, I'll bring you back to Steve Bolger. Up 9 spots. Great little race from Steve.
Yeah, he'll be hoping for a few more battles in front of him. He'll be hoping the Tara and Doint battle continues. And he can close in there. 6.5 seconds down the road. Termo's 9 seconds, as well as Nether about 10 seconds away with 9 laps to go. So he needs a bit of help to sort of move any further down the field. But come race 2 with the reverse grid, he'll certainly put himself in with a decent position, a starting position compared to some other guys out there.
Let's see how his lap time is. 58.6 that last time, so yeah, it's a bit slower than the guys up front, so definitely waiting for those battles to hopefully come back to him.
And the Nether Turmo battle still raging on. A little bit further ahead, looks like Paul Morris slowly starting to fall into Wayne's clutches. We've got yellow flags out here at the final sector. And we've got Rhodey out of the race. That's one of the few times he's actually non-finished here. So we'll just cut to a replay. What has he done here? Looks like a little bit of lag. And perhaps a wheel issue or something has gone awry that isn't PC or game related there. And he's had to pull out. Bit of a shame.
It's disappointing. He had a good qualifying effort. Up disappointing there.
So you see Glenn Miles go around there. I'm just having a look in chat, and it says his game has crashed, which is a real shame. So he was in a decent, well, maybe not a decent position, but certainly every point he can get to stay in the top 10 is vital. On that last lap, Noah's pulled out a bit of a gap of a Doint. I think Doint's made a mistake or two. So we're nose to tail, and now it's 3.8 seconds between the two. That's exactly what Bolger wanted, but he's also got Cheese right behind him as well, starting to apply the blowtorches to the rear of the Styx Commodore.
I think this battle with Scott, Nether, and Turbo is going to really heat up towards the end of the race. They're starting to tighten up quite a bit, especially Glenn Miles.
Oh, and he was so close. It was a cigarette paper between himself and the rear of Nether. I thought he was going to clip him and then just send Nether off into the Nether realm. But thankfully he spun between Nether and Turmo and had just enough throttle input to spin him past Turmo as well. So out of all that, I don't think anybody lost too much time. And with the way that Scott's been driving when we've seen him, his rear has been a little bit sideways more than both Turmo and Nether. I reckon we'll probably see those guys apply the blowtorches a little bit more, as his rear tyre's probably starting to feel the heat and the burn with the way he's been driving.
Especially with these cars, once you've got a bit of wear on those rear tyres, if you keep just gassing it up a little too early, they just keep getting hotter and hotter and hotter, and it takes a while to get them back down.
But as long as he gets a good run out of the final corner, he'll live to fight another day, which is what he's done this time. Nether's best hope is to put a decent laps together, but just stay close enough so he gets that slipstream and is able to get close into turn 1 and then set up a move later on, either on the next lap or later on in the lap that starts. Because he does look comfortable. Much better under braking at turn 1 there. If he can just get close enough, he'll definitely get a move done, I'd say.
Bring it back to Steve Brko. He's up to 12th after that spin on lap 3. So from his 18th spot, he's up to 12th, and he's looking to line up Cecil at the moment.
Yeah, so he's doing all he can to try and claw back as many points as he can. He's in damage limitation mode at the moment. He can catch Cecil and pass him by the end of this race. Steve Bolger, probably not so much. And we've also had Cheese, who was putting Bolger under pressure, has dropped behind Brian Walsh. So Cheese has had an off somewhere.
I would say Brian's made up 5 spots in this race. It's a nice consistent effort from him.
Yeah, I don't think he's put a foot wrong as yet. As we cut to him, he runs a little bit wide there, and unfortunately he's going to lose out. But yeah, and again another lock up there at the final corner. But he hasn't put a foot wrong, it seems, and hasn't had any offs, and that's why he's there in 14th place. So he's doing a decent job at the moment. He might actually try and set up a move to get 13th place back. He's got the toe. He's having a look up the inside. We'll stick with this battle for now. And up inside, late on the brakes, he pulls out of it, and the lockup didn't help him. Thankfully, no contact, and both living to fight another day.
Come a bit forward. Brko's now blowing the blowtorch to match Cecil. I reckon there's one more lap in this.
Not much between them now. Also having a look further afield as well. There's only about a second between Paul Morris and Wayne as well up at the front. And in fact, Bolger's had a poor lap, and he's not too far away from Matt Cecil, so a top 10 is still within grasp for Steve Brko, even after being on 2 wheels for 2 kilometres down there, turn 1.
Also, pull back to Turbo. He's right on the rear bumper of Nether. Now, still keeping up with Scott. I think Turbo's been able to manage that car a little bit better and able to really get under brakes under Nether at the moment.
And Nether a little bit wide there at turn 7, and it's compromising through 8. And Turbo is going to have a nice toe down here if he doesn't muck up the final corner, which he does, but he might actually get an okay exit, but it will cost him time. Yeah, poor exit there and run for Turbo. Sort of ruined that lap because he would have had to slipstream into turn 1. Probably not close enough to make a move, but it would have been close enough to set up a move a lap or so later.
Now our lead runners are starting to come up to traffic now.
A bit of a gap between first and second now, so the gap out to 2.9 seconds from Liam Mitch. Haven't really seen much of him. Saw him a little bit at the start. Same with Liam. Liam slowly dropped back. In fact, Billy's only 1.8 seconds behind Liam as well, with Wayne not too far back either. So a stake or two might see another battle there for second place. And Nether trying all the things in the book to try and close the gap between himself and Scott Stancliffe.
We come back to the battle on Stephen Bolger and Brko.
Oh, and we see him.
Cecil.
Brko's gone around the outside there. I don't know how he's done it, but he has. Around the outside there at turn 6. And he'd already got past Cecil as well, so he has made his way into the top 10. Great recovery drive.
Still down 8 positions, but up 8 positions from that spin earlier on.
57.9 as well, passing a couple cars. So he's got lap speed in it, but unfortunately not able to use it. You see Cecil looking to make a move into turn 1, but not quite close enough. On the penultimate lap, leaders, Liam Mitch now coming out of the final corner to start the final lap. 3 seconds clear of Liam Spencer. He's now 2.2 clear of Paul Morris. He's got Wayne about a second adrift, but there is a little bit of traffic which could play a little bit of havoc with these guys if they catch them in the wrong spot.
Looks like Termo's had an off or some issues the last few laps, and he's dropped off Nether, unfortunately.
Well, Nether's actually put together another decent lap, 57.5, which is close to his personal best, and he's actually right behind Scott Stancliffe. He would have definitely had a slipstream there, and he's definitely closed up. Termo hasn't dropped too much time. He was also in the mid to high 57s on that last lap, so I think it's just more Nether just able to put together a decent lap as we see these guys get through some lap traffic, thankfully getting out. Oh, Wayne's gone around at the chicane. He's going to drop positions here. He's going to lose out to, that is Termo. Up at the front, we've got Liam Mitch is about to take another win this season. Our HRT continuing their strong form. Liam Spencer will finish second, and Billy / Paul Morris will finish in third place. Stancliffe will hold on to P4, and the late charge from Nether, not quite enough in the end. He'll finish in P5 with Termo P6. Wayne on the last lap was behind that. I think it was behind Termo, but oh no, he was behind sort of Paul Morris. So he was behind Paul Morris, and that's spin there costing him dearly. Noah Turra finishing in 8th. Doint, solid result on his debut in 9th place. Brko, good recovery drive for 10th in the end. Bolger holding on to 11th. Cecil in 12th. Cheese crossing the line 13th on his debut, with Walsh in 14th. Good result for him. Darren Kemp in 15th on his debut, with Whitmore in 16th. Cracker in 17th. Aiden 18th, and Glenn Miles the last of the finishers in 19th place.
With Rhodey, NZ Snipes, a DNF, and Daniel Cox a do not start.
Yeah, so hopefully next time around we don't have any game crashes and people missing the start of the grid, and then, well, I'm assuming that's what happened. He missed the start of the grid and then left the pits when the formation of cars drove past. But once again, Liam Mitch showing his class, and that result exactly what he needed for the championship belt.
100%. That's. I don't think anyone was touching in that race. Got out front, got a little bit of a gap, and just settled down. No spectacular laps, just keeping that gap to second place is what you need to do.
I think the gap between himself and Brko pace-wise probably isn't anything at all, with both of those guys in the practice sessions we've seen separated by pretty much nothing, and both able to set really consistent lap times. I think it's all about the race starts. At least in the second race for Brko, he'll be finishing or starting further up the field than what Liam Mitch will, but at the same time, starting in the mid-pack, turn 1, it will be a bit awkward to say the least.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate for Brko there. I think both the HRT cars got, the AAA cars, sorry, got a great start. It's just that second phase of the start, Brko the poor car just bogged down and he had 3 people get past him.
Certainly. Anyway, he'll be hoping for a much better time next time, hopefully to avoid, we'll see, a bit of issues and biff in the next one, will Brko. Anyway, we'll take a short break as we sort the grid out for race 2, but we'll be back in a few minutes' time. Don't go anywhere. Alrighty, and welcome back to Automobilista Australia Super 2 Championship here from Calder Park Raceway. Warm-up is done. Hopefully the reverse grid order has been set correctly. Haven't been corrected in chat. Well, with one race down, some interesting racing, but with Brko finishing out of position, could he redeem himself here in race 2 and claw back some of the lost points from race 1?
I'm definitely looking forward to Brko's fight. It must be said, the racing, aside from that little scuffle with Brko, the racing was quite clean last race, so really great to see.
Yeah, I think I did get a message from Scott after the race saying it was his fault, and going into turn 1 like that, I think we did see sort of Steve move over a little bit, which would have made it awkward, and at the same time Scott did say to me that he also grabbed the clutch as well, which when you do that, you know that the brown stuff is going to hit the fan, which it did. Unfortunately for Brko, it cost him a lot, but in the end he was able to finish and still pick up a top 10, which could be vital in the championship standings.
Yeah, definitely. And as we were saying at the start of the race, all these guys really need are finishes to keep those points coming in.
They certainly do. Anyway, we're just waiting on the grid now, and looks like everybody has made it. Actually, we might actually have a couple people that have dropped out of the server. Just one moment. Is everybody here, or is there just a grid? An error with the grid where there's a couple gaps. Looks like it might just be with the grid. There's actually 3 distinct gaps in the field, so everybody has made it. Anyway, Will, why don't you once again run us through the field for the first of the reverse grid races?
Okay, Glenn Miles in the Vortex machine coming up P1. Got Aiden in second spot with Brko coming up third. Wayne Mitt fourth with Darren Kemp fifth. Ryan Walsh coming in sixth. I think this might be an interesting race for Ryan. Cheese in seventh with Matt Cecil in eighth. That's a good starting position for these two. Same with Bolger in ninth. As we were saying at the start, we've got Steve Brko in 10th. I expect a lot of position movement for him. Doint in 11th. Noah Tara in 12th with Wayne 13th. Turbo 14th. Good drive last race. Nether 15th. Also a nice drive from him. Scott's Dan in 16th. Paul Morris in 17th. Where Paul Morris belongs. Lime. Liam Spencer 18th. Great drive from him last race. Lime Mitch in 19th. Expect a lot of position movement from Lime Mitch, especially we saw on the Coe with him. Brody in 20th. NZ Snipes 21st. Daniel Cox has been able to start this race. Great. Starting in 22nd. And John McDonald in 23rd.
Yeah, hopefully no disqualifications. Hopefully no game crashes for people either, and everybody can bring it home this evening.
Glenn Miles is not in the right position in the start here.
Is on the wrong side of the grid. Will, if you could just tell him that in chat, that would be greatly appreciated. How he's done that when there's a red box on your screen, I don't know, but
might DQ himself here, unfortunately.
it's not that far to the pole position, but well, let's start calling him Giancarlo Fisichella from now on, because he did that twice at the Malaysian Grand Prix, I believe, in 2001 and 2003. And again, I don't think he's actually in the right position. There we go, it's just rolling forward.
They're all revving up. Looks like the lights will set soon.
Hopefully, someone revving. Actually, Cecil might be out of position there. He's a little bit further back. There we go. A few cars have been reset there. And lights are on now. And now we wait. And we're racing. Actually, good jump there. Great jump there from Glenn Miles. He's going to lead into turn 1 for sure, unless he outbrakes himself. It's 4 or 5 wide at the back.
Look at Brko here up the inside.
They're 4 and 5 wide there at the back. Miles late on the brakes. He's outbroke himself and he's actually forced the There's no contact, but he sort of forced his mate Glenn Miles off the road there, who's now skating across the grass. And Brko's had a decent start. He's up into P7. It's a bit of carnage there through turns 2 and 3. But for the most part, it doesn't look like anybody has died, thankfully.
Look at Live Mitch up 12 spots already in 3 turns.
Yeah, it's what he does. He's done it every reverse grid race so far. And once again, doing the business. And a little bit of argy-bargy back there. Got Paul Morris, bit of contact, and around goes the car sales Nissan. And same with Stancliffe, also a bit of pinballing back there. We'll just have a little bit of a replay to see what happened to Doint there. And Seafield's just got hit by the Norton Nissan initially, then got a whack from Wayne, another whack from Lion Mitch, and then unfortunately Bolger had nowhere to go. Same with Paul Morris, and unfortunately Doint now down into 23rd. Cracker leads, but he's got Brian Walsh, who's very fired up there, up 4 spots, and very, very ambitious into turn 1 there.
Got Brko at the end of this train. So
And
when this looks going to pop on.
We've got yellows out. We've got yellows out. It is Wayne in the monster cars. Had an off there in the exit of turn number 1. There's Brko, all kinds of sideways. He's up into 5th now. And Miles, he's got Aiden behind him. And Lion Mitch, who's making a move into turn 7 and gets it done.
Yeah, Brko's got Wayne Whitmore in front of him, but we're noticing Wayne's got a bit of lag, so that's going to be quite uncomfortable for Brko. Definitely going to want to get past him.
He'll want to get by him as soon as possible. And he'll be hoping to sort of be in the slipstream of Cecil in front of him. Otherwise, Whitmore's just going to stick in Walsh's slipstream up ahead. But Brko, does he get the move done? Yes, he does. I thought Walsh in front of him was just going to pull in front of him, but didn't quite do that. Whitmore trying to get that position back, and a little bit of a serve. That's Brko doing a good job just to hold station there. He'll want a good run through the chicane, and to get by Walsh as soon as possible. He's all kinds of sideways coming through the fast chicane. Brko having a look up the inside, but not close enough.
Brko's got his teammate only 2 cars behind now.
He certainly does. He's got to get... there's Walsh sort of getting out of the way there after his little adventure. And, locks up again at the final corner. Exactly what Brko didn't want to happen. He wanted Walshy just to hold Lion Mitch up for a couple corners. But unfortunately, that's not happened. Now his next bet is for Wayne Whitmore to make a nuisance of himself. Further back though, looks like there's a pretty handy battle pack going on. Got Aiden in the slipstream, not in the slipstream, Kemp in the slipstream with Nether right behind him as well for P11. Got yellows out at turn 1. That's Whitmore off at turn 1 in the Penrite car. So just and McDonald's been turned around by one of the Red Bull cars at turn 1 as well. I was going to cut to a replay of what happened, but we'll cut and see what exactly happened to McDonald here. So McDonald's given space to the Red Bull car, and the Red Bull car on the exit has just turned him, so that's not very smart driving there. And McDonald now down in 22nd. And we've got Whitmore off again. He's way up in the boonies down there, but we will cut to a replay and see what happened to him down there at turn 1. And, he just outbroke himself. And, he's actually ended up across the other side of the track and out of the race. So, disaster for Whitmore.
Get back to the gaggle pack of 9th through to 17th. They're so close together at the moment.
Certainly are. Headed by Darren Kemp, and then behind them, they've got a couple moves going on with Stancliffe looking to make a move on Bolger, and I think Wayne as well. He got past both of those guys, I think, as Bolger outbreak himself into turn 2. Just avoids the barrier. And Stancliffe looking to make a move now through the chicane. And cuts the chicane. Now, drivers were told not to do that, and he was trying to gain a position doing that, so a little bit naughty. Might find himself, if he does it again, in a bit of strife. And Wayne not too pleased with some driving perhaps, and a bit of retribution, a bit of contact. Stancliffe across the grass, cuts it, and contact with Wayne, so there might be a bit of history here. And out of all that, Daniel Cox able to pick up a couple spots there, and doing a solid job up 14 spots, Will.
If we come back up front, started basically side by side. Lightmatch is up 20 spots, but Liam's unfortunately been stuck behind this gaggle of cars. So it really shows the experience of these two drivers on getting through traffic earlier on.
It certainly does. Lightmatch always been one of these guys that's been able to get through the field on these reverse grid races. Brko, I believe he had over 50 spots, I believe, through all three races because he stuffed up qualifying and started at the back. So 50 plus spots in 3 races is a fair effort by anyone. As we see Brko now looking to make a move on Matt Cecil into turn 1. Not quite close enough, have to bide his time as Cracker has done a good job to lead these first few laps now, but has been reeled in by Cecil, who's got Brko right behind him as well.
Scott Sands completed that last race, last lap, gave a bit of a serve to, I think it was Doit. He's had to readdress that. It was really running back. It's a gaggle back towards the back of the gaggle.
It's a very angry battle pack as we see Glenn Miles, who actually that is for position. He was in running, I think, in 8th place or so at the time, and we've actually had Cracker up ahead, lose a couple of spots, and
Brko's off.
Yeah, Brko off as well. So perhaps Brko has sent someone off here. So what has happened here? So, ooh, okay, bit of lag there, at least on my screen. But at the same time, Cracker losing it forced Cecil to slow down, and unfortunately for Brko, he's had to slow down and wait for Cecil to get back going again. It dropped him down to 7th place. So disaster round for Brko, who pace-wise has been pretty good around here. And it's given Lion Mitch is into the lead after 8 laps, and he's probably not going to be headed now in this one. And the question remains, can Cracker hold on to second? He's got 5.6 seconds to Paul Morris. That's a fair gap with 10 laps to go. And at the same time, Brian Walsh, fantastic effort in 4th place at the moment. Can he hold on to 4th place?
Nice consistent drive from him as he goes wide.
Yes, cut to a massive lockup. He will have a flat spot from that.
And now Cheese is giving him a bit of a hurry on.
And also had...
Matt Cecil, but we've been talking.
Yeah, did get that move done. Just cut to a replay. See where that had happened. And side by side for a couple corners there. Cecil having to give Brko space. And yeah, eventually getting that done.
Nether's had a quiet race, but he's already up 11 spots, so great move from Nether.
Yeah, he's been solid. He'll be hoping that battle pack in front of him continues. Brian Walsh in 4th place. So if Walsh does a good job for a few laps, it might see Nether close up to the back of that. Only 3.5 seconds to Cecil down the road for him. But Cheese has had a decent ride. Got a car off there. That's Matt Cecil. He's off in the boonies. He is off in the boonies. So he's had a moment through the fast chicane there. Too much steering lock, I'd hazard a guess, through the fast chicane, over the curb. Yep, overcorrected it, and there he is. And, well, he's not in Kansas anymore. He's gone. And, yeah, probably from that Brko contact. And that's Cheese, is it? Cheese has blown an engine. What is he? Let's just right on board. And I'm guessing it's from a downshift here. Yep. So that was from a downshift, just shifting down too hard. Cheese out of the race. He was looking for a decent position there. That's a big shame. Doint out as well. And Miles off now, and that's going to allow Rhodey, his teammate, to get by. And we've also got Stancliffe and Snipes battling into the first chicane there. Brko's done a good job. Walsh still in 5th place, but that half spin's probably going to cost him dearly here. All he's got to do is just keep it consistent for Walsh here, and he's got a top 5 or top 6 here, because he's got 4.5 seconds to Kemp there in 7th place.
It's the same story for Cracker sitting in 2nd. He's got a bit of air in front of him and behind him, so just keeps it straight there. Hopefully that's a voting for him.
We have seen this on a number of occasions, both in TCR and in Super 2. in these second and third races where Cracker doesn't start the weekend particularly well, but he's able in these reverse grid races to just put a race together and drive nice and cleanly and consistently in clear air, and he's doing it once again here. Gap is coming down between himself and Paul Morris, but the gap to Brko being 10 seconds. If he doesn't make a mistake, he'll definitely have a podium here.
Yep. Bring it back to the battle of Brian Walsh and Nether. Nether coming up the inside of the final turn.
Oh, and Walsh is wide and Nether is through. 3.6 seconds now the gap between Walsh and Kemp.
Brian was a bit nice there.
I don't think he was being nice, he was trying. I think he's just overdriving it in that final corner a little bit, because every time I've cut through him, he's out-braking himself. He's just got to reel it in a little bit, because if he sorts that out, he'll probably find a second or half a second a lap.
100%. Turbo on the back of this four-car battle for 6th place. Looking very racing.
Yeah, got to be said, Darren Kemp's done a solid job. Obviously, he has lost a couple positions, but there was a bit of biff and barge going on, and obviously he's had some faster drivers go through. But he's done a really solid job in this one as well. But this is a very angry pack with some quick guys behind him. You see Wayne up the inside of Daniel Cox, another one up 18 spots. He's done really, really well here to start from the back. DQ from race 1, but doing a good job here in race 2. And that's exactly what Turbo doesn't want, because as we've seen with these Red Bull drivers, they're very, very aggressive, and you don't really want to be racing them too much. But it's all coming to a head. Looks like Spencer having a look on his teammate, with Noah Tara also having a look around and a bit of a sniff as well. Up the inside goes Liam, and he gets the job done. And that's also allowed Noah to close right up, and he's having a look at the back of Stancliffe for 12th place. And looks like Kemp's had a bit of a poor run through turn 2 and 3, and he's got Wayne right behind him. He's going defensive now for turn number 6. Oh, he's lost the rears under braking. Wayne's going to try and go around the outside. He's going to get pickpocketed. Well, I thought he was going to get pickpocketed, but unfortunately Kemp's gone around. I don't know if that was because of contact, and then a little bit of contact between Wayne and Cox. Cox now up into P7, Turbo up into P8, but that might be temporary because he's got Wayne right behind him and with a tow as well. Now I will just cut back to a replay to see if that was because of contact. No, that was just he did get a little bit of a helping hand, but he was already well sideways then for Darren Kemp. So big shame for him, as he was in a really good position. As we see Spencer, that's Wayne Spencer that's gone around there. So I'll just, again, cut to a short little replay. We'll speed it up, get it over and done with. So he's tried to go past Turbo, outbrake himself massively, made contact with the Milwaukee car and to the inside of the grass. That's allowed Liam Spencer through, as you got Cox going defensive, and we've got the Red Bull car trying to also make it 3 wide. Turbo trying to get the move done around the outside, can't quite do it. He's going to compromise himself a little bit there, and he's going to give too much space to Liam Spencer here, who might have it go in the final corner. No. But it's very, very close. We've got Liam and Wayne right beside each other, father and son. No love lost between those guys. Just jump into a Discord channel, and there's smack talk all the time. And Brian Moss still in P6 as well.
Bring your attention back up to P2. Cracker's under a lot of pressure under Morris. And Morris backs it into that corner.
Cut to it, and he's just got the job done. Cracker very, very wide on the exit, couldn't quite pull it up. They're both very, very late on the rakes, but Morris now up into P2. He's 6.5 seconds away from Lime Mitch, who hasn't been headed since he's taken the lead. Fastest lap of a 56.7. Brko, yep, and Brko in P4. Now they're in P5. Walsh still in P6, but that is a very, very angry battle pack there, Will. As we see.
I would not want to be Walsh. Is a very large cork in a very small bottle.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want to be any of these guys at the moment, except for maybe Noah, because he might be able to pick up some spots. He's got the father and son combo dueling it out. He might even try and make it 3 wide here down the straight. He's just having a look at the moment. Wayne's going to try and get the move done into turn 1. Cox making a move up the inside of Walsh at turn 1. So,
as we said, Brian Walsh is being very racy here. He's being aggressive on his defence. It's great to see, actually.
Well, when he's been in these positions in the past, he does get very, very bullish, and he's very, very aggressive. So it's good to see there's a bit of fire in the old ticker. If you can just find a bit of consistency, it would help him out a lot. But P7 at the moment, a great effort. Very late under brakes. Wayne there just gives Turmo a serve out of the way, and it's not what we like to see. And again, Wayne up the inside of Walshy. Again, not very, very polite, and Walshy unfortunately into the grass, and he's going to lose out and drop out of the top 10 down to 11th.
That was a bit cheeky by Wayne. Pushing. So, need a bit of a look-out race.
Yeah, very, very cheeky.
Noah's out.
Just cut to see what happened. Oh, yeah. Wayne's given Brian just a little bit of a tap there, but we'll cut back to Noah. What has happened here? I reckon he may perhaps blown an engine. We're right on board. No, that's internet. That's internet because he was down the pit straight. So once again, disaster and poor internet striking Atara. He's got Stancliffe with his lights on. He should probably turn those off. Only meant to have them on when you're coming up to lap cars. And Walsh has lost it, and he was in 10th. He's now going to go down to at least 12th place. So it's fallen apart at the death for Walsh with a couple laps to go. Real big shame. He was doing a really, really good job for the most part. And also coming up the field to Cracker, he's got Brko right behind him, so it might be a really good recovery drive for Brko here, and he might steal a podium on the final lap. He's had a good run out of the chicane. Cracker's not giving him the inside. He's going to force Brko to go around the outside. We have seen him do this before, and he's going to do it again. Can he pull it up? Can Cracker hold on? We've got Line Mitch crossing the line. It's Brko again around the outside in the final corner. A little bit of contact between the two, and he's sort of, I think Cracker in the end sort of lifted there because he did sort of force Brko off the road. But Brko getting the job done, stealing third place in the final corner. Cracker unfortunately couldn't hold on to a podium at 57.5. He's got pace in that thing, just didn't quite have the consistency to hold on in the end. Nether, a good solid job from him taking P5. Wayne will finish in P6, but I don't think there'll be a few drivers that'll probably be a little bit unhappy with some of the contact. Cox doing a really good job, up 20 spots, finishing in 7th. Liam Spencer, as you can see, unhappy, finishing behind his dad, finishing in 8th. Turmo, he got nudged out of the way a couple times and lost out, so he's probably not too pleased with that one. ensue Knives, no game crash this time, and taking P10 in the end, so good job from him. Stancliffe taking P11. Darren Kemp, he was in that battle pack, but unfortunately lost out penultimate corner there on the grass, and he will finish in P12. Brian Walsh sitting in 4th and 5th and 6th place for such a long time in that race. He'll be kicking himself not to hold on in the end, but certainly put on a bit of a show in this one. Glenn Miles in 14th, Steve Bolger in 15th, Aiden 16th, followed by Rhodey, Matt Cecil, who we did see was up there, but got turned around and ended up being a lap down, and McDonald there in 19th with Noah. Unfortunately, another internet disconnect. Cheese, Doint and Whitmore all failing to finish.
A bit more action-packed that race.
Yeah, certainly a lot of aggressive driving around there, it has to be said. But also some good racing. Some unfamiliar names in some unfamiliar places. But in the end, the class of a lot of these drivers seeing them through. Lime Mitch, see, again, being a standout in these reverse grid races, was able to jump so many places at the start. Brko did what he had to do at the start, but getting turned around there, or having that off, certainly... running into the back of Cecil, which again, that probably wasn't so much his fault. There was a little bit of lag going on, and with Cracker losing it in front of him, sort of made it a bit of a mess, and he redressed that position and lost time, but still recovered to 3rd place in the end. Cracker, again, have seen many times in these races, able to just be nice and consistent and bring home a solid result in these reverse grid races, doing so once again. Nether, quite achiever in this one. Hasn't had the greatest pace all weekend, but he'll certainly be happy with the P5 wheel.
Yeah, 100%. That's 2/5 from Nether, so making up all those spots really kept his nose clean and took advantage of some scuffles around him.
Certainly did. Was able to clear, has to be said, the danger man in Brian Walsh there. Wasn't letting people go by easy. Able to clear him, and once he did that, he was able to sort of race his own race there.
Definitely. I think Brian will like that name you've given him, Danger Man.
The danger man, Brian Walsh. If we can, hopefully you can see that once again from Brian in this second race, just getting himself up there in the top 5 and just being an absolute hassle to the drivers around him, and hopefully he can pick up a top 10, because I reckon he did deserve it there in race 2 there.
Yes, and I was really impressed with Brian in that the first couple of laps there, just getting up into the first spot, being really aggressive, and doing exactly what I think you and I would have done in that situation, so really proud of him.
Certainly gave it a crack, and in the end, having a crack is all we ask for. Whether that's going out there racing at 100%, or just coming out here having a crack and just racing. So those that are watching that may not race here at Automobilist Australia, we've got a number of series. We've got the Super 2 series here for more casual. Well, it's meant to be for more casual supercars racing, where if you just want to jump in, have a bit of a drive, certainly a series for you. Also, you've got the main series, Track Day Cup, which again, another casual series. We've got, was it TCAC on the Wednesday nights wheel, and GD3s as well. So plenty of series for guys that just want to have a crack to jump in and have a bit of fun.
Yeah, so anyone listening at the moment on the interwebs, feel free to join us. Especially for Track Day Cup is admittedly one of the most fun cars you could drive, and the grids are always not as large as these other ones. So anyone that wants to join, I implore them to join us on Monday.
Certainly, smaller grids, and some good fun cars to drive, and not so serious about. It's not so much about the results, more so about the journey to see the finish line at the end of each race there.
Yes, every race has a start, middle, and end, just like a good book.
And indeed, bad books as well, but. But anyway, we'll take a short break. Just got to set up the grid for the final race, and of course, reverse grid race of the evening. Don't go anywhere, but we should be back. We should be back in about 7 or so minutes' time. Don't go anywhere. Alrighty, and apologies about the little bit of delay. Just had to sort through some minor issues, but we are back, and just ticked over the warm-up. We're about to get going for the final race this evening here from Calder Park Raceway. Actually, we're not, because I've forgot to set the grid. Genius. So, I do apologise for that, but we'll get this underway very, very shortly.
Who's your bet for the final race tonight, Lewis?
The final race, we'll run through the grid and I'll try and decide it then, because I can't remember exactly where everybody is. So here we are. Well, Matt Cecil has shown some decent pace and he's starting on the front row. So he's going to be definitely one of the drivers to look out for. I reckon he's going to do quite well if he gets a clean run through the first lap. And we also have Stancliffe, who's shown some decent pace starting from P9 as well. And if he's aggressive, hopefully not too aggressive, but if he has a good start as well, we could see him jump up as well and possibly take his first win as well. But with the way Lion Mitch gets away and gets to his first laps, you can't count him out either. So it's really, really difficult. But I reckon Cecil, if he gets a good start, I reckon we could see him nick a win here. What about yourself?
Bolger makes it to the grid just in time. My money's on Liam at the moment. Mid-pack, he keeps his nose clean. He's shown the pace in qualifying, so my money's on Liam. Or Scott, he clears his mind from that second race.
Certainly. Well, Will, why don't you run us through the grid one final time from Calder Park Raceway?
Okay, Mr. McDonald and his large fries, starting first with Matt Cecil in that full drive. Noah in second, Brody in third, with Aiden in fourth. Steve Bolger fifth in starting position for Steve, with Glenn Miles in sixth, Brian Walsh in seventh. Expecting some excitement out of Brian Walsh this race. Darren Kemp in 8th, DJR Team Penske. Scott Stanley 9th, Edwards 9th, 10th, Turbo 11th, Liam Spencer 12th, starting ahead of his father. David Cox in 13th, Wayne via father 14th, Nether starting at 15th. Can he get another place tonight? Cracker in 16th, with Brko 17th, Paul Morris in 18th, Graham Lion Mitch 19th, Noah Tara in 20th. After that is a disconnection, unfortunately. Cheese in 21st, Wayne Whitmore in 22nd. As John Whitmore lines up.
That is the field. Well, Will, hopefully we get a nice clean start here.
Hope and a prayer. Steve Bolger very aggressive. So
Certainly.
it looks like Wayne's not quite in his box, or NZ is very far forward in his box.
Got Bolger as well. He's sort of angled off a little bit, as is Walshy. He's going back and forward. And yeah, certainly that second Jack Daniels car, and I think that's Lion Mitch as well, just now getting in position. So might be a little bit of a delayed start here.
Liam's looking very racy, pointing his car in there.
Yeah, straight to the middle of the road for Liam, and there's the Xbox car reset, and the lights are on here for the final race from Calder Park. Away we go. And Stancliffe got a good start, but nowhere to go, and he's punted Walsh. He's punted Walsh. He didn't back out of it, instead kept his foot in it, and unfortunately that's wiped out Wayne, Cracker, Noah Tara, and Brian Walsh. And got one of the HRTs up there already, but there's been a car turned around, I think. It's Lime Mitch.
Darren there.
Lime Mitch already up to P6, but I think he made a little bit... Oh, no, sorry, that was one of the Red Bull cars, actually. No, it was Stancliffe ran into the back of the Xbox car and turned it around. Some not very good driving.
That was a messy start, especially on his front straight. There was no one even turning in there.
Yep. Certainly no need for it at all. Just all you got to do is just lift your right foot and just avoid contact. But unfortunately, that sent a number of drivers through the back of the field. McDonald will lead the first lap away. Snipes in second place, up 8 spots. He's a really, really good start here. And trying to get a bit of a slipstream off the fellow Nissan out in front, with McDonald playing a bit of F3 games. Rhodey in third. Cecil down a couple spots, which is not what he wants, because now he's got Lime Mitch right behind him, and got Paul Morris off as well, a little bit wide there at turn 1, but he's actually up 6 spots from where he started. Yeah, he was had a good start and avoided the carnage in front of him, and then was up a number of spots up the inside of turn 1. Also got 2 Nissans side by side. We got there's Lime Mitch now up into 4th place ahead of Cecil. We've got a Red Bull and Cheese battling it out. That is Liam. And Lime Mitch now trying to get a run and get ahead of Rhodey, and I reckon he's going to get that done into turn 1, with McDonald trying to stay in Snipes' toe down the long pit straight.
Look at this battle pack from 11th onwards.
We'll stick with it. They've got cars all over the place here. And looks like they might go 2 and 3 wide here.
That's gone a bit wide. Bolger up the inside.
And at the front as well, Snipes in the lead. There's a massive battle pack forming at the front here, so there's about 5 cars. It's very, very close together. Bit of a gap to Cheese, then Stancliffe and Morris and Turmo. We've got Rhodey, and then another big battle pack right behind them. And Lime Mitch now up into 2nd place, looking to clean sweep this weekend. With McDonald straight up the inside, bit of contact. He doesn't want to give up the position easily, but Lime Mitch will hold on. In fact, Liam's going to get a good slipstream from the Holden in front of him. And will probably just sneak ahead of McDonald into turn 1. That's it. McDonald holding on up the inside. And indeed he does hold on to P3 for now. So further back looks like Paul Morris still ahead of Turmo. And a very angry battle pack from, I think that's Rhodey, Bolger and Miles onwards.
Yeah, that's having a bit of a struggle in this race. Down 2 spots, 17th, he's with Wayne.
I think he may have been caught up in that opening melee just a little bit and caught out. As you saw Glenn Miles cutting the chicane there on the inside, which is not what you see very well. We got Brko trying to make a move on Cox. Around the inside now, around the outside at the final corner. He's going to get that job done. Is he? He will. So nice move from Brko. He's been conservative on this start, especially compared to his teammate. But certainly no dings on his car, and he'll get by Glenn Miles for 12th for sure.
Something happened. There's something with Paul Morris here. He about 4 cars past him. Straight.
Yeah, so let's just have a look and see what happened. Perhaps he's made contact with someone and is redressing. Oh yeah, perhaps a pedal issue, or the game froze on him or something, because he sort of just like a little bit of a warp there, and he slowed down. Thankfully the Red Bull behind him didn't spear into the back of him, but he's got back going again. But something tells me that was a bit of a game glitch. Up front though, Snipes has done a really good job to still hold on to the lead. He's broken away from McDonald, who's still holding on to 3rd. But he's certainly holding up Cecil and Spencer, who are looking to get by as soon as possible. As you see, Lime Mitch now try and make a move here into turn 1.
That last lap, Liam looks like he's had a bit of an incident. He's dropped back behind these two.
Certainly has, because he was sort of in that group a little bit. As you see Cecil running wide, that's going to allow car by, but around goes Paul Morris, and that's going to drop him a couple spots. And it's disaster for Paul Morris out to 13th, having to spin there at turn 1. And now he's got Wayne and Nether right behind him. There's a number of big names in the Super 2 series well down the field at the moment. They haven't had the most ideal starts. As we see now Brko making a move on Bolger.
I think you're right with Morris. There's some pedal issues there. Having a spin and then losing all the power.
He's gone off again, as we see Noah also off there at turn, I think that's turn 6. But yeah, you did see Morris off again there at turn 6, so perhaps having some issues or perhaps just overdriving it, which we do see him do from time to time, but certainly down the pit straight last lap there was some kind of glitch which stopped him down the straight. As Brko now looking to round up Rody up the inside, Bolger running wide right behind them as well. Brko getting the job done and up into 9th, and he's got a few seconds to the very angry battle pack behind John McDonald, who is determined to hold on to a podium spot as Liam Spencer goes around. That's a big hit, and he will be thankful that he's 25% damage, otherwise the front end of that car would be toast. And Brko will take up another spot. Behind them, it's Paul Morris with Nether right there in tow, as well as Cox and Kemp. All these FGX Falcons lining up in a row here.
Now I think Liam was a bit frustrated there. He watched John, I believe, second lap in a row, straight line the first chicane. He might have been a bit frustrated past that second chicane and just let it up.
Yeah, perhaps a little bit too much steering lock. I find a little bit too much steering lock. Well, you do got to take that chicane flat. You don't want to have to lift, but if you do have too much steering lock, and especially with some worn tyres, you're bound to get a little bit loose. And unfortunately for him, a little bit too loose. Turmo's had a good run out of turn 3, but the car ahead has right of way through this fast chicane. He's cut over it. He's held onto it though. McDonald, though, will go defensive. Cecil will have a look up the inside of Turmo. And behind them, that is Stancliffe looking to make 2 in 1 here. And he's going to get the job done just. A little bit of contact between himself and Cecil. And a bit of contact between Cheese and Cecil as well. But it is all happening here for the final spot on the podium.
Turmo's had a great run out of that final turn.
He should get the job done here. But as we've seen so far, Donald, not an easy man to pass.
Yes, being very aggressive. Some might say too aggressive.
Here we go, Turmo's late on the brakes, he's off, he is gone, and he's going to lose out a couple of positions as Cecil goes around again, and that's exactly what Brko wanted, because he's right behind all that. He might sneak ahead of Turmo here, no, backs out of it, but now he is right there in the thick of it, and he could see that podium not too far away, and what has been a bit of a unlucky round for Brko, he could still pick up a podium and be a fairly, well, decent end result after some bad luck early on.
It's surprising the pitch isn't further away. He's keeping this 3-second gap to second place.
Yeah, Snipe's doing a good job. He did have a couple of good races at Barbagallo Raceway. And with 6 seconds, McDonald is doing him a massive favour. 8 laps to go, 6 seconds between Snipes and McDonald. I can't see that gap without a mistake being closed down. So Snipes in a great position, and I think he might buy his Nissan compatriot a beer as McDonald goes around, and he's on the racing line there. He's parked at Brko, unfortunately, nowhere to go. And, well, thankfully 25% damage, so he won't have any car changing damage, but it certainly knocks him out of that battle pack, but it does in the end move him up a spot.
It's shot Turmo up to 4th again.
Indeed it has. Turmo back up to 4th, and he'll be looking to try and chase down Stancliffe.
It does look worse than being in that situation that Brko was in, nose to tail, trying to track someone down, and that front person just moves out of the way, and you have another car pointing the other way at you.
Yeah, he would have been unsighted and decided, no, I'm going to turn in a little bit here, and not knowing why everybody's going wide. And yeah, unfortunately for him, there was a white Nissan in the way, and and that's cost him a bit of time. That said, Termo still not too far away. He is catchable, but out of all that, Stancliffe and the podium probably out of reach now, as he's 6.3 seconds away.
And there's on his recovery drive after that scuffle first lap to 11th, up 4 spots, tracking down.
Oh, we've got, I think that's Rody off at the background there, that fast chicane. Got a number of battles going up and down the field. See Kraken out looking to make a move on Whitmore, but pulling out of that decision now. We've also got Brko getting by Cheese here on the exit of the final corner. He did make up a little bit of time on Stancliffe as well on this lap, despite getting by Cheese. 57.0 for Brko on that lap, so he has got pace. But time is not on his side if he wants to try and get a podium here, but he can certainly get 4th place with Terma just in front of him.
Morris had a shock at that last run. Last lap, about 4 seconds less to
He hasn't had a good run in this one. Was running a bit higher up, but did have that pedal issue and did have a spin there at turn 1 early on in the race as well. He's had a good run through the chicane though. He's got Cox right in front of him. We've seen him try these moves all night long, but not quite close enough to make it stick this time.
bring it back up to the middle to Brko.
He's had a good exit out of the final corner, and he's right behind Termo. Termo not really fighting him, and a 56.959 for Brko, which is 1.2 seconds faster than what Termo could manage. So he's a man on a mission at the moment. Well, Termo did try to fight it, but you can't really hang on around the outside around such a long radius corner. He gets the job done, does Brko. 5.4 seconds to Stancliffe down the road with 5 laps to go. He's going to need a bit of luck if he wants to steal a podium at the end.
Now Cheese is under attack from Liam Spencer.
Spencer, another one of those drivers caught up in McDonald's spin there, did cost him a bit of time as well. He also had I think he had an off early on as well at that back chicane there when he was running in this battle pack as well. So he's done a good job to catch back up, but he certainly could have been a lot higher, Will.
He's had a good run on the front straight, right under that groovy.
Personal best for Cheese on that last lap, well, at least for this race anyway. Spencer 57.8 plays, I think it was a 58.2 for Cheese. But Liam getting the job done. Wayne not too far away. And Sumo on that last lap doing a good job actually sticking with Steve Brko. A gap between himself and Stancliffe, 4.8 seconds, so he is faster, but not quite enough time left for him.
Tasty little battle for ninth place. Bulger, Nether, and Cecil.
Yeah, see, Cecil did get caught up in some stuff which dropped him down the field, which has been a bit of a shame. But still, a few laps for him to make up a spot or two. Nether wanting to finish as high as he can. He's not quite been too. He's been a little bit lost with setup, as we're speaking to him after sort of race 2 there. But he's done a good job with 2 P5s. But he's going to need a bit of luck to get there this time around. But he can still get P9 here with a couple laps to go. So he looks to make a move very late on the brakes. Bulger just too far ahead, but he's forced his nose in, and Bulger's had to respect him and give him space, and he gets the job done. So good driving from Nether, but now he's got to focus on getting a good exit out of turn 3, which Bulger hasn't done. So Bulger now is going to be the one under pressure, and Cecil will look to get the move done into turn number 6. But not quite close enough, so stalemate there. And we also had Wayne get by Cheese for P7. Wayne trying to chase down his son. He's 1.6 seconds down the road.
That'll be a bit of a tall order with only 3 laps to go.
Yeah, it will be a tall order, but I've seen drivers make mistakes all race long. It wouldn't surprise me if we see 1 or 2 more twists in the tail just yet. McDonald now after his adventure at the start of this race. He's currently in 13th. And he's got Kemp there in 14th. Kemp did a really good job in the second race. Hasn't had a good run here in the final one, but has been a respectable showing in his first night here in AMSOZ Super 2. Glenn Miles in 15th, and an angry battle pack behind Whitmore with recovering Noah Tara, who was caught up in that start line incident. And Cracker also right there behind him. Tara just showing his nose there at turn 6. Not quite close enough. Cracker was actually really, really good under braking, putting Tara under a bit of pressure. But now this is the corner you need to get right if you want to make a move. And it looks like Tara's done a fairly decent job. He will get the slipstream. And so will Cracker in behind. But I don't think he's going to be close enough to make the move into turn 1. Unless he has a really, really late braking attempt.
Watching the battle with Scott Sandcliffe and NZ Snipes.
Oh, so round goes Whitmore, sorry, yep.
Scott's taken 2 seconds out of NZ over the last 2 laps, so could be a tasty finish here.
Yeah, could see a photo finish here. 58.2 plays a 57.1, so Sandcliffe is pushing hard out there. And Whitmore still recovering from that off. We are on the final lap, so Snipes, he's just got less than 2 kilometres now to hold on to what will be a very well deserved and good second place for him. Stancliffe looking to get P2. He's shown some good pace in this one. He's also been a bit reckless with some of the moves as well. Termo coming under a bit of pressure from Liam as well. As this race comes to its conclusion, we've got Mitch coming out of the final corner now. He's got a little bit of traffic, but it's not going to matter. Snipes now at the final corner, goes defensive. It's going to cost him a little bit of time, and we may see a photo finish here, but I think he'll just hold on here. But Lime Mitch takes the win, and Snipes will indeed hold on to P2. So well done, Snipes. Stancliffe in P3, well done. And Brko, who has been this round used as a bit of a pinball, it has to be said, finishing in 4th place after it's all said and done, is a fair effort. Turmo in P5, Spencer in P6, Wayne P7, Nether in P8, Bolger P9, Cecil P10, with Cox 11th, McDonald in the end getting the best of Kemp, both of them are up a spot, with Tara in 14th, so someone in front of him has dropped down the field that we haven't seen in the last couple of laps. Cracker in 15th, Miles in 16th. They've got Cheese. It's Cheese.
He run out of petrol.
Perhaps he's ran out of fuel. And
Rhodey's giving him.
And that's for position as well. And they've got Aiden right behind him as well. So it looks like they're actually just going to finish home like that. Now, there are rules that after what had happened in, I think it was GD3 or something a couple of weeks ago, are now rules in place with regards to drivers finishing the race when they run out of fuel, and that the driver that pushes them over has to be for position. So what they've done there is legal. If they'd already finished the race and were coming around again, it wouldn't be. But that is going to count, and Cheese will be classified in 18th place. Aiden did get the best of Rhodey there in the slowest dead heat of all time, and Whitmore did come home a lap down, I believe, there in 21st with Paul Morris. Unfortunately, our only DNF of that final race. Well, it's been a pretty interesting night racing with some... It has to be said, I thought it was going to be a little bit worse off at turn 1 with only some minor incidents. So all in all, not too bad racing wise and clean driving wise in some aspects.
The turn we thought was going to be the worst seemed to be pretty quiet. Admittedly, I thought there was going to be a bit more battling up front. No one was able to keep up with Lime tonight. Spectacular driving from him. And it's safe to say he'd be giving the top guys a run for their money at the moment around this circuit.
Certainly would, but I do think that the bad luck that bestowed Steve Brko probably helped him quite a lot, because Brko probably was the man that was closest to him pace-wise. You did see Stancliffe rail off some, I think he said a 56 in that final race, but he was a bit up and down. But Brko, we have seen all season long be quite consistent. In practice, he was consistent as well. It's just he's just caught up a lot of the time in the wrong place at the wrong time. But like Mitch, once again, able to capitalise on others' misfortune, and again, he just shows his class in the reverse grid races and taking a clean sweep and two very, very well-deserved reverse grid race wins.
Yeah, fantastic effort from him tonight.
Certainly. And, well, shout out to, I guess there's a couple drivers that we could give a shout out to. It was Brian Walsh, fantastic effort in that second race there. Couldn't hold on to a top 10, couldn't hold on to a top 5 in the end, but was a man to watch and a man on a mission. But unfortunately, just ran out of a little bit of juice there towards the end of the race.
Get up there?
All right, and also we saw some decent driving from Kemp as well, and Cox also. I think in that second race he was up quite a number of spots. Obviously, the first race he got DQ'd, which is a bit of a shame, but the second race certainly made up for it. Didn't quite have the greatest result in the third race with an 11th, but still had a decent first showing, Will.
Yes, getting a handle of these cars first night out, very impressive result. Couldn't really fault him tonight. And in that last race, I must say, Termo's done an excellent job keeping his fifth. Bit of a scrappy race, but holding fifth was great for him. And Liam was in the wars tonight. In the wars in that last race, and still managed to pull it home in sixth. So great work for him, and again beating his dad.
Yeah, I think for him at the moment, even if he has a rough race, I think all he wants is just to finish in front of the old man, and he'll be quite happy that once again he's done it. He did come in this evening ahead of his old man in the championship standings, and now he would have, I'm pretty sure for sure, extended that gap over him. So at least another week or two, and that he can gloat over the old fella and give him a bit of stick.
Yeah. Funny enough, seems like Liam's better in the faster cars and his father's better in the slower cars. We've had a few series where, especially in TCAC, his dad's happy in that car and Liam absolutely is miserable in it. So it's just different driving styles and what they like at the moment.
Certainly, I can certainly attest to being faster in a faster car and slower in slower cars. But I guess when you do come from, perhaps he's had more of a, well, he does have an experience racing karts and coming and racing a kart and then racing, which would seem quite quick, to then coming and racing a, I guess one of those TCAC cars that would seem like you're going in slow motion.
Yeah, especially karts being rear-wheel drive and TCAC cars being theoretically all-wheel drive, but they feel like they're just front-wheel drive. I know, knowing myself, I hate driving a front-wheel drive car, so yeah, getting used to the different sorts of things you need to do with those cars can be quite tricky.
Certainly, but he's still shown that he's quite talented, and he's certainly upset his old man by constantly beating him these last few weeks, that's for sure. Alright, well, that'll just about do us this evening. And what is an annual occurrence here in these streams is that I've completely forgotten what is coming up here at Automobilista Australia, so do bear with me for a moment while I do check out the Facebook page and the events tab to see what is coming up.
I'll rattle it off on the top of my head. I believe there is Track Day Cup on Monday. this Monday being the 27th. TCR on Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken, with TCAC on Wednesday, and the V8's proper on Thursday. This week is going to be Pukekohe, so um, similar calendar to the Super 2s, but just a bit more delayed.
So, yeah, same track calendar, but if the real life supercars were running, each race would be, or each of the AMSOZ races would be the Thursday after each of the planned supercar rounds. But yeah, just to confirm, it is Track Day Cup from Hampton Downs on Monday. First time that track has been run at Automobilista Australia, I believe. And then round 5 of the TCR Australia Series, the international round from Autodromo Riccardo Paletti in Italy. That's going to be a fun little circuit. Actually quite similar in a lot of ways to tonight's Calder Park Raceway, albeit with a couple more chicanes and corners. TCAC, well, they're heading back here to Calder Park, and I reckon that's going to be very, very interesting, and certainly probably a bit of biff and barge wheel. And then we have the supercars, as you said, from Pukekohe, which there's a couple of bumps in that track which these supercars don't like, so that track can get stuffed.
And GT3, if I'm not mistaken, the week after.
Yep, Tuesday the 5th of May from Donington, the full GP circuit, because running GT cars around the short layout wouldn't make any sense. But first time that track has been run, at least the Razor version of it, at Automobilista Australia, and that will be an interesting one. And hopefully Mercedes handles a little bit better around that circuit.
Yes, even though it's a Razor circuit, they didn't quite get the chicane track cut quite right. Similar to the modded track for that series. So a lot of racing coming up. 5 races within the next week and a half, so a lot to look forward to.
Yep, so if you guys are interested in racing, obviously head to Facebook and search for Automobilista Australia and join the group and have a bit of fun. Anyway, from myself, Lewis Wedding, and from Will Devonish, we hope you've enjoyed tonight's broadcast of the Automobilista Australia Super 2 Championship from Calder Park. Have a good one.